So let's take a look at some of the questions for today. All right, so let's see how many questions we have out there right now. First question, Alan and KL. Now, Alan and KL says, if finding my passion is the first step, then how do I find a passion? Okay, so this is true, right? So one of the things that Paul had, and the first thing we talked about is he already had a passion. Like he was already searching for a passion, right? So if finding my passion is the first step, then how do I find a passion? Well, the thing is, everyone's going to go through this cycle, which means that there's some things that we're passionate about now that we might not be passionate about later. And we'll find something that later we're passionate about, we're not passionate about now, or it might not even be later, like later on, we won't even be passionate about that. Which means that start off with something that you really, really want to do. And I'm going to tell you this, like even when I do vision workshops for people, like so people can find their vision, like what is that thing that they really want more than anything else? I do these vision workshops for people, and the first question is the hardest question, even though it's the most simplest one, is what do you want? Like what do you want for a job? What do you want for a finance? What do you want for relationships? What do you want, what do you want spiritually? And these are things that you have to really think about. So for you, there's going to be so many different levels of passions that you might want to have, right? A hobby, a job, it could be people, it could be, singing, it could be an instrument. There's so many other things that you can find a passion in, but you have to start with something. And you're going to go through these cycles when you're really passionate about something, and then it's going to bump into something else. You're going to have a really humbling experience, and it's going to change the way that you think about it, or change the way that you look at the things that you're passionate about. But you need to start going over these things, and not just something in your head like, what am I passionate about? Oh, music, so let me just do music. No, it can't be that. You have to really sit down and think about it. Sit down, think about, write it in many categories. What am I passionate about when it comes to my career? What am I passionate when it comes to my character? What am I passionate about when it comes to my hobbies? Spiritually, school, what's my passion? There's lots of different areas of passion that you can choose from, right? So think about a lot of different things, and like I'm telling you, just because you find it once doesn't mean that that'll be the thing you stick for the rest of your life. You'll be passionate about it, you'll go through experiences, and it's gonna change a couple of times in your life, okay? Thank you, Alan in KL, for that question. Let's move to Sarah. Sarah in Penang. Sarah in Penang says, have you ever had a humbling experience that changed the way you did things? And yes, this is one of them. This is one of them. YouTube is one of these mind-changing things, right? In the past, I'd always go to schools and campuses, and I would teach people, go onto campus, see them live. And the thing that was really hard for me was, I have to go to the campus, those people I meet, and I might never be able to see them again. And one of the most humbling experiences that I had is when I met someone who's a YouTuber, and basically they every month are getting comments for a video they did 2-3 months ago, and thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people are watching that same video, and he's only recorded it once. And I was like, what? I would never be able to do one talk in front of 100,000 people. But when I talked to him, I was like, what? And there's another guy, and I'll tell you, this guy has had one video up for 2 years, and that video, like it makes money, right? And he's been making $2,000 US a month for the last 2 years off that one video. Just made it once. Talk about crazy, right? And I realized, wow, if I do it on YouTube, I'm actually talking and speaking even when I'm sleeping. Even when I'm not even talking about it, it's already out there. People can watch it over and over and over, and they can comment, and we can talk about it too. Which reminds me, those of you guys who love this talk, make sure you like it, and make sure you write some comments on today's Lockdown Tuesday. Cool. Thank you, Sarah in Penang. Let's go over to Gabriel in Johor. Right, Gabriel in Johor. So make sure if you have your questions, just write the questions down. All right, Gabriel in Johor, what does he say? He says, good old Gabe, says, I don't think I really understand myself well enough to even know my passion. Is there some easier way to know my passion? And the answer is, there's not really an easy way to know your passion. And honestly, you don't even need to understand yourself well to know your passions. You don't. Why? part of the process of understanding yourself well is by doing things, right? Is trying things, right? And that's a big thing. Part of the process of learning and understanding yourself better is by actually doing more things and finding out whether you like it or not, finding if it's something that's very passionate or not. And that's something that we really have to understand is, yes, you might not understand yourself, but if everyone had to understand themselves first before they found their passion, no one would have any passions. You don't need to understand yourself that well. Yeah. Part of the process is learning about yourself and understanding yourself better, and you're gonna go through that process step by step. So Gabriel, don't worry about it. You are gonna go through these difficult times. You are gonna have these difficult things, right? So just make sure that you really, really understand that we are all going through a specific process. We are. And because of this specific process, we're able to understand ourselves even better, okay? All right. Let's go over to Japan. Here we're going to Japan. There's a Hannah in Japan, okay? We're going over to Japan. There's a Hannah in Japan. And the question from Hannah is it okay to delay passion first because money is needed more nowadays, especially for young breadwinners in the family? Okay, cool. So great question, because like I said, first is a passion doesn't necessarily have to be a job, right? Because a passion could be in multiple areas. For instance, my passion could be, let's pretend that if I had a child. If I had a child, what if my passion is my child? Just to make sure my child has the most fun every day, and they have a great relationship with their father. I still go to my job, right? I still go to my job. But my passion is my child, which means my job, I love my job because it allows me to have more time with my child, right? So the passion doesn't necessarily have to be a job. It could be multiple things. It could be in finance. It could be in career. It could be spiritually, like some people who have faith, that spiritual part can be their passion. It could be about relationships. My passion is my friendships. My passion is it could be a hobby, right? So a passion could actually be something like bowling. My passion is bowling, right? Which means that I still have my job and I'm the breadwinner of my family, yet one of my passions is bowling, and I do go bowling every Friday night or every Saturday and Sunday night or whatever it is, right? So remember, your passion doesn't necessarily have to be a job. It doesn't have to be about money. There are passions in multiple different levels, right? So I hope that you guys can really understand that, yeah, Hannah, don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be about money. Money's not the most important thing, and for some situations, money is important, where it's better to take that job, hold off that passion for the job, but do something else do another passion in another area, like a hobby, like a sport, like many other different things. If that makes sense, okay? Thank you for that awesome question, Hannah, in Japan. Great. Let's go to Kenny in KL. Kenny in KL. And Kenny in KL says, I have something I'm really passionate in, but I found that when the passion becomes my career, I tend to start losing the passion in it. How should I maintain my passion? Great question. Okay, so how is passion maintained? This is a really good question though. How is passion maintained? So if we look at passion, one of the ways that we kind of symbolize passion is fire, right? Oh, I have that fire in my heart to do this. I have my fire to do this. And we have it, that's what we always call passion fire, right? Now the thing about passion is this, or fire. When you look at fire, fire burns out when you run out of wood, right? It's true. Fire runs out, it snuffs out the moment you run out of wood. In the same way, the worst part about passion is this. You can have that same passion, and then when you start doing it, you start using up that wood, you start burning up the wood, and eventually there's no wood left, right? Which means what? One of the things you have to understand about passion, and one thing you have to understand about the human mindset is humans, in order for them to keep something, it doesn't mean you maintain that same passion. In order to maintain passion, you have to raise it to the next level. Which means that, let's pretend for me and YouTube, okay? How does my passion keep coming for YouTube and like doing these like Lockdown Tuesdays, which could turn into Taco Tuesday or a Coffee Talk or Espresso Talk, well, whatever it is, right? How do I maintain it? Well, we started off with, you saw the background, but now we have a green screen. Now we have a different mic setup. Before I was holding a mic. Now I'm not holding a mic. Now I have better coffee. The way that we set up, if you guys see the setup that I have right now, it's really interesting because before I was like, had a piece of paper in front of me. Now, for those of you guys don't see it, I'll post it one time. You'll see my view. I have a TV screen here, a TV screen up there, and I have a giant whiteboard with my notes on it. I'm not that smart. I didn't memorize everything. I don't know all those Bible verses, right? But I have a big whiteboard, I have a TV screen, I have a TV screen, I have a camera, I have a green screen, I have another studio set upstairs, and what happens is what? We're constantly upgrading, and it's exciting and exciting and exciting, right? So those of you at Bubble Talks, right? Those of you know Bubble Talks, why is Bubble Talks so exciting now? Is because every Thursdays when you come to the live Bubble Talks, we give away free bubble teas. We send the bubble tea to Korea, send it to Taiwan, to the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore. We send bubble teas everywhere, right? And just to let you guys know, later on, when we hit like our 50th episode, we're going to be giving away some bigger stuff. When we hit our 100th episode, you guys are going to be crazy shocked about the stuff we'll give away on those ones too, right? Why? It's exciting. You have to keep raising the level. And when you raise the level, what happens? Then you begin to keep getting excited more and more. If you stay the same way, what happens? You basically burn out in the wood. You got to get better wood. You got to get better burning materials. You got to get kerosene. Like big bonfire or whatever it is, right? So, and of course, another thing is don't burn too fast. Yeah, don't burn too fast. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay? Thank you, Kenny, for that question in KL. Let's move on to the next one. Sammy in PJ. Sammy and PJ, question is it okay if I have a change in passion after a while? Yes, it's fine. Completely fine. Change your passion is not a bad thing. Don't think it's a bad thing, right? The only thing I would suggest to you is if you're doing it properly and you're constantly raising the level, like I said for YouTube, we're getting new things and new things and new things, and we're getting more and more excited. But if it ever reaches a point where we don't, where even though we're raising the level more and more, and then I don't feel passionate anymore, then I'm like, maybe this is not what I want to do anymore. If I'm still raising the level and I'm still, going strong, but yet I don't feel anything. And what I would suggest first, though, is I suggest first you take a break before you fully decide to get rid of that passion. Take a break first. Maybe you're just burned out. Maybe it's just too much work. You need a little bit of a break. And then get back into it again, right? Not too long, because if you go too long, then you don't want to do anything. Okay? Thanks, Sammy. Sammy and PJ, great question. Let's move over to Hui Ying in Malacca. Hui Ying. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Hui Ying says, what if others come in my way of trying to achieve my passion and hope? Well, if it's a true passion, like we're talking Paul level passion, he's willing to die for it. Right? Like I said, there's going to be people that come against you. Then even when Paul changed for the good, a lot of Christians like Peter and Ananias and all these people that followed Jesus didn't even want to meet him because he was the one that was killing people too, right? So you do have to understand that in the beginning, when you find that passion, it's going to be normal for a lot of people to come against you. It's a normal thing. But you got to kind of like let it pass by because that's going to be a normal thing that happens. You know what I'm going to tell you what? Misery loves company. And people who are miserable want others to be miserable too. But like Hu Ying, you got to keep that passion, and no matter what, it's fine. Push forward. Push forward. Right? Because the last thing you want is to have that regret that, I should have done it. It wasn't that bad. Right? Yeah, there's people there are going to be people, just like Paul, even when he changed for the good, he went to Jesus' side and Jesus' people went against him. Why? Because they didn't know really like how passionate he really was about it, right? So it's going to happen as a normal, natural thing, just like it happened to Paul. Thanks for the question, Hui Ying. Let's go to Hong Yen. Hong Yen in KL. What's going on over there? Hong Yen in KL says this. Hong Yen in KL says, you mentioned, is that right? You mentioned that we need to start looking for passion, right? You mentioned that we need to start looking for passion by looking into different areas, financial, career, spirituality, whatever, okay, etc. How do we actually balance all of that? Will it be too extreme? And the answer is, you're not going to find a passion in every single one, right? Remember, we talked about this a couple weeks ago in the Bubble Talks. Start with one. Just find one. Why? Because like, remember, Hannah just told us in Japan that I'm the breadwinner, so I can't really change my job because the family depends on me, which means that you don't have to touch that one, but you're gonna find passion in something else. Start with one first, and then as you get these great passions, you get good at something, then find another passion that you could do together with it. But you have to do one at a time. If you do more than one, yeah, you're gonna burn out. It's gonna be way too much for you. So my suggestion is find the one that's the safest for yourself, the one that you really want to do. Like Hannah, if the job is too much to change, then I wouldn't change the job. If you're the person that everyone counts on, then don't change it. But I do suggest that you find something else that you can be passionate in also. Yeah, it doesn't have to be the job. It doesn't have to be, and don't do 4 or 5 things. Don't even do 2. I would suggest always start with one passion first before anything else. Okay? Thank you, Hong Yen. That's in KL. All right, let's go to Rosarin. Rosarin in Philippines, I believe. Right? Rosarin in the Philippines. And the question is, how can you fix your reputation to the people who know what you were like at the past and prove that you really changed? Okay, great question. I'm going to make this very, very simplified for you. Okay, so what happens is, let's say that you want to make a change. Let's say that everyone knows me. Okay, everyone knows me as the micromanager, right? The someone who's always picking out people's faults. Oh, you did this wrong. You did this wrong. Or let's just say something easier. I'm negative. Let's just say I'm negative. Okay, I'm not though. But let's just say I'm negative. And people are like, oh, this guy is so negative. And I have this reputation of being negative. So what I will do is I'll go to the person and say, hey, I know I have a reputation of being negative, but I really want to change it. And they're like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, and I really want you to help me out as much as I can, and I want you to check up on me, right? So what happens is this. If 6 months later, all of a sudden, like I'm doing really, really well for 6 months, and then 6 months later, boom, and then something bad happens, and I become super negative, like, they're always like that, I can't stand this, and I become negative again, then what do people say? Look, he didn't change. He didn't change. But the crazy part is, you weren't even negative for 6 months. So how do you get the reputation to change? Is every 2 months, you should be checking in. You should be. Yeah, when you check in, you're getting people to start thinking about it again. And the reputation begins to change. So for instance, or even 1 month later, it's like, hey, I was really trying my best to not be negative. How was I last month? They're like, actually pretty good. Yeah, actually, I haven't heard any negative stuff. Oh, thank you so much. Can you just please remind me this and this? Oh, okay. Then 2 months later, hey, I really worked. So now 3 months now, right? So 1 month and then 2 months later, hey, I've been really trying hard, and I wanted to get your assessment just to see how I'm doing with negativity. And they're gonna be like, yeah, no, man, for the last 2 months, you've been great. You've been great. What's happening right now is they're beginning to acknowledge the work that you're putting in not being negative. Another 2 months later, which makes it 5 months, you check in again and they say, wow, you know what? I'm so proud of you that you're really changing a lot. And then at the 6th month, when finally, boom, you explode and someone says, oh my gosh, look how negative, see, they never change. But that person who you've been checking in with will say, no, trust me. I've been talking to him, and I've been with Sky for like the last 5 months, and he was doing so well. He's really, really trying hard, and he's really changing. The problem is, if there's no check-ins or accountability in between, there's no one acknowledging what you've been doing, and it's out of sight, out of mind. So what happens is, they're not recognizing it because it's not in the front of their minds. So when you become negative, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, look at that, they're just negative. No, you're always bringing it to the front. Hey, how was I? Hey, you're doing pretty good. 2 months later, hey, you're doing, at the 5 month, you're doing awesome. And at the 6th month, they'll be the ones that defend you. Why? They've already acknowledged 3-4 times that you're doing better. They've already acknowledged it, right? The problem is when it's reputation is something that is over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? Which means that to break reputation is you're making a new reputation, is they're always acknowledging over and over, acknowledging that you're positive. And then when that one negative thing comes out, they'll be on your side saying, no, this person's reputation has changed. And that's one of the best ways you can do it, right? Remember, all reputation is the repeating of the same thing over and over again, whether it's good or bad, and people will acknowledge it. The crazy part is people see the bad stuff more than the good, and that's why they'll say, oh, negative, oh, they're so negative, right? So what you want to do is you want to take the same approach, but trying to fix it, and there's constant acknowledgement all the time. Like, you don't want to do it every day and annoy people, right? But you want to be like, hey, next month, check and say, hey, how was I? Check another 2 months later, another 2 months, and then you've already checked 3-4 times over the last 5-6 months. And when it actually pops up again, you're gonna be there. Your reputation is gonna change with that person, and they're gonna defend you in those situations. Cool. All right. That is the last question. Very, very grateful and thankful for all of you for joining us here on the Lockdown Tuesday. Today it was the story of Paul and what does it take. I hope that all of you guys really enjoyed it, and more than anything else. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This is Sky. Make sure you click subscribe, obliterate that like button, leave some comments, and support us on Patreon. All right, catch you later.